Today we are revisiting a boxing high fashion film. I'm going to talk through the edit.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Alright, so we shot this in late 2023, and it came from an inspiration from this track called Destroy the Worlds by Aaron Hibble. Like, I loved the I become death, the Destroy the Worlds line, and then going straight into that drop. And then I wanted to end it kind of abruptly. I took the build up and spliced it with the end to make it about a 30-second film. When you have a track that you like, take the time to mix it together until you find something that syncs up with your vision. So the very start of the song, where it has like the cool like atmospherical build up, and then the top part here is the I become death, the destroy the worlds. And then like I wanted that to last for about 10. I wanted to transition out into the end. What it does is I found a spot where I wanted it to end, to transition to the end of the song, and you add studio reverb to it, so it will like kind of echo stop out with the ending of the track. You hear the like, little reverb. What I do with all my films is I create a timeline of selects. I look at all my footage, so I usually go into like assembly mode just because that's the workflow I like. As you can see, I pieced it together in different sections, and I actually filmed the ending first, and then I went into the boxing part because I wanted her to look like high fashion for the ending. And so that was before she got into like the action. Like her makeup was perfect, her hair was great, and I wanted that finished look for the ending, so we shot that first. Is I go through and I find little moments of each clip. I have this first section, and then I usually section it out, as you can see here, into different parts of the edit. So this was all this outfit. With this one, I did all handheld movement because it's boxing and the nature of it is quick movements, like boom, boom. And one of my favorite things to do to transition in between pieces or just for filler, as you can see, this is like slow shutter. I love to shoot some different slow shutter options just to have to like do 1 or 2 frames, and I'll show you where that fits into the edit. This is the ending, and this is how we ended it. I wanted her to just look fiercely straight into the camera, and I loved this little light that we had. Connor crushed the lighting here. And then we go into like the boxing section here, had her do all these different types of boxing movements, and I just captured really like wide, medium, tights of each section, because when you do that, it gives you the options to have a lot of flexibility in the edit to do what you want. And I had a pretty succinct idea of what I wanted to do, but it's still really nice to have that as an option. Starting shots here where she looks into the beginning, because I knew I wanted it to drop into that sound of her looking straight into you, so it was like you were looking into her, like her soul. The whole concept was you start off and you're just like in your own head and doing these things for yourself. And so that's why I wanted to start with directly to the camera. That was the vision here. Classic move is like just raising up the gloves to your eyes. And so I had her do a few different variations of that. She crushed it. Did some shadow boxing here. We went into the beginning. So this is her like in her warm-up gear. The whole thing is like you go contemplation into boxing, into finishing off in that high fashion look. That is just very powerful. So I'll get into the edit itself. Since it was social first, I did shoot it horizontally, vertical final edit. So here, because I knew I wanted to do a push-in of her sitting with her warm-up stuff on, but then do a flash through the whole video just to like immediately show the audience what to expect. This is where those slow shutters come in handy. I did some slow shutter movement here, as you can see, almost like 2 frames each, and then it goes back to that. So you're like, oh, she's about to like get into it. And then I wanted to showcase the clothing, the stitching here into the minimal logo, her wrapping up her gloves, transitioning into her getting warmed up for boxing. This is what I was talking about, the look. So I did this look and I tied it in together with this close-up, medium, and then you go into a tight, right? And I just, so fierce. The anticipation of her about to hit the bag right before this drop. And then I do a quick flash through of it to add to that intensity. From about 8 seconds to 14, such a short time, but every second and every frame really does matter in these types of films. So I wanted to do a lot of quick movement here to like match what boxing usually is. And so I had her do all these different, and then with the wide, medium, and tights, matched the movements to splice together smoothly. So as you see here, she just punched the bag there, right? And as she's coming off, I move to the tight of her same hand moving off the bag. I had her do this twice. So I had the elbow here and then a tight elbow. That's how you build sequencing and really just get something that's a very cohesive story. To transition, I specifically loved the slow shutter idea to go in between scenes because it was all one location, yet 3 different outfits. So you're like, how can you vary that and how can you transition into each one? And then I always start with some sort of push-in that you'll notice with this edit. I did a wide of it, a tight of it, and then a medium. I had her match this transition-wise. So it is, you have to be intentional with the different poses. So like say you want to do the slow shutter thing to transition, shoot for the edit. You think about how can I tie this together cohesively? I had her put her hands on her head here and I wanted to get the slow shutter. So I did that and I was like, all right, we'll do it one more time without slow shutter. I was like really into GIFs at the time. So these are all photos, right? I took 100 images here because 24 frames in a second, right? And I wanted it to be 4 seconds long. Ooh, so that's roughly 100 images. And what I did here is each shot, I had her framed center and I just took one more step closer to her, but always had her face centered. So when I put it into post, you can like position track it. I always had her looking at the camera too, just doing a little different poses. I knew that this was gonna be where I transitioned into the last portion of the video. And so I had her do this pose here and I matched it when we were capturing the other part of the video. We could like match cut to it. I'll show you that right here. With that similar facial expression, I showed her the picture for reference. And then she crushed that. So it goes cohesively together. This is just some beauty moments to end off the film looking right back straight into the camera because now she's finished and she's done the work and she's ready to go like take on the world. And the other thing is I always shoot in log. This is my original color grade. So I used a phantom LUT here, just the neutral one to bring it to a base Rec 709. Color wise, I did some manual coloring here, color correcting each individual clip to get the desired look that I wanted. One note here is like whenever you bring pictures into it, I usually put the grade over top of the pictures even though I edit the pictures, export them. But I wanted it to be cohesive, so I throw the creative grade on top of everything to bring that together. What would I do differently with this edit? I didn't do any sound design. That was intentional. Most 95% of the time, I'm going to do sound design with any track, but this track was so busy already that when I did the mix of it, I was like, I'll just let all of that be the sound design because it already had it like built in a way. I made a horizontal cut specifically for this video and updated it with the coloring that I would do now. The edit is pretty similar because I still am very in love with this edit. I had to switch out a couple clips because I didn't have the other one shot 16:9. I shot that specifically only vertical. If you're only ever gonna want to deliver vertical, shoot for that format, so shoot vertically. So you can see these colors are quite different. I now use this thing called Dehancer to do my coloring, and I really love to give it even a more grungy feel. I love this Kodak Vision 250D film simulation, and then I added grain to it to give it that grit and grunge. And this is what that looks like now without any of the color grading stuff. Base grade that I had originally, and now this is the new one. As you can see, it's a bit more contrasty, punchy. The blacks are crushed. I went ahead and kept the same creative grade here. So I threw that on top of it. And as you can see, it kind of cools it down. I wanted it to be like a cool feeling. And I really wanted to emphasize that this was like in your own world, in your own time, and going that way. I brought down the shadows. The original was a bit more green. I took away some of that green tint. That is this walkthrough. I think a big thing for making these types of edits impactful is planning and doing pre-production. There's been plenty of times where I do like a running gun scenario where I just go like figure it out, and sometimes it looks great. And I did that a lot when I was learning. Now, the type of payoff that I want in terms of style of video, pre-production is a game changer. Just even having like the track is so huge when it comes to these types of edits. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
become death, the destroyer of worlds.